Tractate Berachot, Mazel Tov, congratulations for those who study with us first time and those who already go on the second cycle or third cycle. It's a great opportunity to study together the Daf Yomi. And before we begin this first tractate of Berachot, I would like to give some word of introduction, especially for those who are first-time beginner. First and foremost, the way that we're going to study, we combine the two levels, which is we're going to go relatively slow for the people who are the beginners. However, for those who are more advanced, they will not get bored because we're going to try to put together the gap between the two levels. I have a suggestion for the beginners. When it's come to Aramaic words, if you please take a piece of paper and write down the new words that you learn, and then just practice and learn it, so little by little it will be easy for you to feel part of the study. The first tractate called Berachot, Berachot meaning blessing, it's a tractate dealing with a lot of explanation of the relationship between the heart and the soul, between the mind and the soul. Meaning, this tractate is some rabbis call it tractate of faith, because it's dealing with the different ways that the persons express his or her belief in God. There are many opportunities to express the belief toward the prayer, toward different expression on a daily basis. But the key as an example is the Shema prayer that we recite every day, evening and morning. The goal of this tractate is to take all kind of biblical concepts, word in the Torah, and make it applicable to our times. So I'm going to start with the first Mishnah, just for those who are very beginner, the page structure. So you see at the top of the page the word me'ematai. Me'ematai, it's the first word of the Mishnah. It's like the title of the page. Then you see center at the top of the page, Perek Rishon, the first chapter. And then you see the word Berachot. Berachot is the name of the tractate, meaning blessing. Now you see the structure of the page. It's divided to three parts. On the right side is the Rashi commentator, the 10th century commentator that lived in France and Germany, and he's the Ashkenazi commentator in a way, but it's also the Sephardic accepted him, since his brother is not just for the Ashkenazi, is the one who's explaining each and every word in the Torah and the Talmud. On the left side is the Tosefta. Tosefta, it's a combination of several different rabbis. Some of them are the grandchildren of Rashi. Some of them rabbis that live about between 100 to 200 years after Rashi, but there are some Tosefot that goes much later. The structure of the page itself, you see at the beginning is the Mishnah, the first, and then when you see the letter Gimel Mem, and this text, almost the middle of the page, is the Gemarah. Mishnah is the first to the 3rd century, Babylon. Gemarah, it's basically from the 3rd to the end of the 5th century. Me'matai korin et Shema be'arvit. The big question here is the Torah said, doing Shema. Hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God, the Lord is one and only one. The question is, what is the proper time to say Shema? Part of the Shema saying, Beshivtecha bebeitecha, when you are in your home, Ubelechtecha baderech, when you walk in your way, Ubeshochbecha, when you lie down, Ubekumecha, when you rise. So the Mishnah starts with the question, when is the proper time to say Shema in the evening? What does that mean? It's not like a structure of a Robert rules and regulation. The Mishnah tried to explain the logic of the rule. If you think about the day, the structure of the day, it starts with the morning and then in the evening. So here the Mishnah starts with the evening first, later we explain. But the very basic rule, as you know, in Judaism we start always in the evening time and then in the morning. But furthermore, if you think in a sense of structure, we put here the question, when is the proper time to say Shema in the evening? Why the Mishnah not start with the basic mitzvah of Shema? Later we explain it. But in general, the assumption is that people already know that the Torah commanded us to say Shema, which is the affirmation of faith. And therefore, since we need to do it, the Torah said in the evening, when you lie down and you rise, therefore we need to know the specific structure of time. The Mishnah answered and they said, Misha'ah she'hakohanim nechasim le'echol betrumatan. The first answer is, Rashi explained to us and he said, Misha'ah she'hakohanim nechasim le'echol betrumatam, כהנים שנטמעו וטבלו והריב שמשם ועתה הגיע איתם לאכול בתרומה. Rashi explained to us that during the time of the service in the temple, it was three different time frame. It was like a shift, night shift. The first night shift was the time of the sunset, meaning when you see 3 stars, it's called in Hebrew mitzet kochavim. This is the time that the Kohanim begin their work, their shift, and therefore that's the proper time to recite Shema. So in that sense, when you speak about answer, is no controversy, is just a very clear answer. Rashi elaborated on that, and he said, Shlish halayla kede meforash b'Gemarah, that the Talmud explained later is 1/3 of the night. Umisham va'elach avar zman. In Judaism, the time frame is crucial, which means we always have zemanim. If you see several sites, like Chabad site, for example, they give you a very clear time frame of service, time frame of lighting candles, praying, etc. So there is a time frame. From that point, from the time that the 1/3 of the night, that's the proper time to say Shema. The lo mikrei tu zman shchiva velo karinan beshoch becha. We talk about the majority of the people when they are lie down, and we go by the majority, and therefore we go by the 1/3 of the night. Yes, there are workaholics that work very late and their nights start in different time. There are people who does all kind of other things and the structure of the day is different, but we're speaking here about the majority of the people. Majority of the people, that's the 1/3. And from that point onward is not considering a time frame of shchiva, of lie down. Therefore, if someone recite the Shema early time, he did not fulfill his obligation. So he asked, so what's the reason we have it as part of the service? Rashi have the mindset that he said that it's important to pray while reciting the word of Torah. That's what they said in the Braita. We explained many times that the Braita is different segment of Mishnah in different location. Here is speaking about Jerusalem Talmud. לפיכך חובה עלינו לקרותם משתחשך. That's the reason why we are obligated to recite the Shema when it's dark. בקריאת פרשה ראשונה שאדם קורא על מיטתו יצא. When a person read only the first paragraph of Shema, which is the Shema Israel, the affirmation of faith, and then the first paragraph of Ve'ahavta, you shall love your Lord your God with all your heart, with all your might, with all your soul, up to the end of that paragraph that said you should inscribe it upon your door and upon your gates. So that first paragraph of Shema, he fulfilled his obligation. Soon we elaborate what exactly the meaning of this statement. Anyway, עד סוף השמועה הראשונה דברי רבי אליעזר. Here we enter the domain of opinions, three different opinions, how late you can recite the Shema. The first opinion is Rabbi Eliezer. Rabbi Eliezer, we just read it in a Rashi, who said that the time frame has to be the first segment of the night. There is a concept that we need to learn, and this concept applied in many places in the Talmud. It's called lechatchila bediavad. Lechatchila. In the mindset of the sages, they have which they call wish, something that we would like to, and then bediavad, by force of circumstance, if something happened and we basically said, okay, it's not advisable but it's acceptable at this circumstance. So lechatchila is the way that we wish to, the way that it's proper to do things. Bediavad is only if you have no other choice. It's very important to remember this concept because we're going to deal with that a lot. Rabbi Eliezer hold here an opinion which in a way no one disagree. He has said that the first and foremost is the first part. V'chachamim omrim ad chatzot. However, the sages hold that can be up to chatzot. Chatzot, it's considering sha'ot zmaniyot, which means that we take the chatzot, in our language, you take the time of the night, from the sunset to the sunrise, you split it to a half. In that sense, it's considering half of the night. In a simple Hebrew language, chatzot meaning 12 p.m., 12:01 a.m., it's already past chatzot. But since the time changed, and every night is different, so therefore chatzot apply to the middle of the night when you split it to two. And in our language, most contemporary, you have always to look at zmanim, those sites that give you the proper time to know when exactly the chatzot of the night and when is the chatzot of the day. Just as a side note, why we need to know the chatzot of the day, because the proper time to pray the afternoon prayer, mincha, has to be at passing of chatzot. So again, chatzot, chet, tzadik, vav, taf, it means literally the middle, but in the proper manner it's that splitting. Here it means, the sages hold that you need to say Shema from the time of the sunset until chatzot, middle of that particular night. Rabban Gamliel was the head of the Jewish community, the sage. He said, excuse me, Ad she'yaleh amud hashachar. Ad she'yaleh amud hashachar, meaning that can be up to the almost the dawn. Now, what's the really difference between the three? There is a word we said in that paragraph, the word beshoch becha. Beshoch becha. So, Rabbi Eliezer, what do you understand beshoch becha? When you go to sleep, right? So, when people prepare themselves to sleep, that's the proper time, which is the first part of the night. That's Rabbi Eliezer's opinion. He holds that it has to be the 1/3 of the night. Sages, it's like middle point, they said, I understand what you say, Rabbi Eliezer, but can be up to chatzot. Rabban Gamliel hold that he said As long as people are fulfilling the word beshoch becha, which is as long as people are in bed, right, then it's already the proper time. It means in reality that it's the entire night time. So in that sense, the word of the sages that said chatzot, it's like the middle point, but the Gemarah, later the Talmud, elaborate on that. Now we go to the second segment of the Mishnah, and there are two purposes of that. First, the rabbis give us a story here, and that story can not only elaborate but also crystallize the key question of the proper time. Also, it's also the point of the offering that used to be in a temple. Rabbi Gamliel wants to prove his point from that that type of work. Maaseu ba'u banav min bet hamishten. So here they bring us a story that it was a wedding or a big celebration. Amru lo lo korinu et Shema. The children, the sons of Rabbi Gamliel said to him, "Oh, we didn't read the Shema." So trace a scenario. Rabbi Gamliel is the head of the Jewish community, and his sons went involved with a wedding, most probably helping the bride and the groom, the arrangements, the dancing, the food and everything. And they return home, and it's already, let's say in our language, 3:30 in the morning. And they said, "Dad, we didn't recite Shema yet." So here is Rabban Gamliel. He needs to rule not only as the head of the Jewish community, but within his own home, to his own sons. So he said, "Amar lahem im lo ala amud hashachar chayavin atem likrot." So is that a general opinion or personal opinion? So here the rabbi said that it's dat yachid, that is his personal opinion, against all the other sages, that they hold that it's chatzot is the proper time to say Shema. So now, in order to convince his sons to do it, he tried to say that the sages also agree with him. Okay, and he elaborated on that, and he said, "Velo zo bilvad." That's not only in the law of the reading of Shema alone. Ela kol ma she'amru chachamim ad chatzot mitzvatan ad she'aleh amud hashachar. He said that the key point, the ikar hadin, the key rules, it's until about the dawn time. So Rashi explained, and he said, "Shekol halayla karui zman shchiva," because the entire night is considering a time of shchiva, time that you basically in a bed, you lay down in a bed. Now he brings some examples, and he said, "Hekter chalavim ve'evarim." When they bring the sacrificial offering in those days, they used to separate it, which means it was a chelev or chalavim, that it's the certain fat that come out of the offering. So Torah tells us in the book of Leviticus that they burn it on the altar. Also, they take certain part of the korban, certain avarims, and they slice it. They bring in the korban that it's fully burned. It's the korban olah. So because there are so many offerings that brought, they did not have a sufficient time to burn all the extra, which is the chelavim, the fat, and the avarim, those certain part of the offering. So they have no choice but to do it later during the day. So the Torah said in the book of Leviticus that this is the rule of the korban olah. That korban olah, they said they have to be on the altar, and the Torah said until the morning, and the altar should consume it fully, which means that offering it's in our language fully and only offering to God. So therefore he said that here is another proof to what I said, that all those abundance offering, that the priest doesn't have a sufficient time, the Kohanim doesn't have a sufficient time to do it the entire night, they can continue on later. Another thing he said, v'chol hanechalim leyom echad, certain offering, like the sin offering, chatat, asham offering. So the law of the Torah said that you can only offer them during the day and the following night. So even the sages said that it can be the day and the night until the midnight. If you look at the foundation of the Torah, they said mitzvatan ad she'aleh amud hashachar, because the Torah said biyom korbano yachel, you should eat it at that day of bringing the offering. Lo yaniach mimenu ad boker, you should not leave anything until the dawn. So therefore he hold that that's the proper time, which means until the dawn, that's the time to bring those offerings. So again, that's, he tried to bring us as a additional proof to what he said. In Ken, let's just finish the Mishnah and then go into the full explanations. In Ken, lama amru chachamim ad chatzot, כדי להרחיק את האדם מן העבירה. Okay, so here after we have these three opinions, let's explain the entire Mishnah in the very clear manner. First and foremost, we're dealing with the idea of beshoch becha. Beshoch becha meaning from the time that you lie down. That's the basic discussion. So when we said beshoch becha, that's the time to say Shema. The first is you have to do it in the evening time, which is when the tzet, which is when there is 3 stars. The Gemarah later explained to us, just that will be in the forthcoming shiurim, that a person should not come from the field, from his work, and said, I have so much to do, let's go and do some work, walk a little bit on the internet, eat dinner, do all kind of other things, and then you forget the whole Shema. So the first, they wanted to fulfill the mitzvah of saying Shema first when you come home and not postponing it. So the best idea is to do it mitzeit kochavim, when you see 3 stars. Now the big question is how late you can say it. Everyone agree with Rabbi Eliezer, which is the best idea as the first choice is right away, which is ad sof hashmura harishona, which means that that's the proper way to do Mariv until the end of the first shift of the Kohanim, which is the 1/3 of the night. That's the best idea. When the person beshoch becha, when people prepare themselves for shchiva, which is the first segment of the night. Sages hold, let's face it, people busy, people involved with all kind of things. If you restrict them to that time, it will create a situation that some people will not match the proper timing. So they extended it and they said it can hold until midnight, and we explained that that's changeable from night to night. It's in general term is the word chatzot, chet tzadik vav tav, which means middle of the night, literally, but it means that it's splitting the night to 2. That's the sages' opinion. Rabban Gamliel hold that can extend it further. He hold that as long as people are sleeping or people in the bed, it's still a time of Shema, which means as long as it's dark outside and people sleeping, when the Torah used the term beshoch becha, it's good enough to say Shema. So what we understand, even Rabban Gamliel hold, if you can, you should do Shema earlier. But if you for some reasons couldn't make it the first segment, you should do it until the midnight. And then if you have no choice and it's already 3 in the morning, as long as the sun is not rise, you can say Shema by Rabban Gamliel. Let's just complete the shiur with the Rashi. Rashi said, Hekter chalavim ve'evarim, the time that they're bringing those limbs, shel korbanot shenizrak damam bayom, for the offering that they give during the day. Mitzvatan, the mitzvah leha'alot kol halayla, to bring it the entire night. Ve'enan nifsalim balayla ad she'aleh amud hashachar, that you cannot disqualify them at night until the sunrise. Vehem lemata min hamizbeach, dechtiv lo yalin laboker. So they basically can wait until the dawn. Chalavim shel kol hakorbanot, the extra fat of the offering. Eivarim that you need to burn is from only korban olah. V'chol hanechalim liyom echad, all those that need to be at that exact day, kigon chatat ve'asham, the sin offering, asham offering. V'kivsei atzeret u'mnachot v'todah, it's different offering like Thanksgiving offering. Mitzvatan zman achilatam, the proper time to eat them, ad she'aleh amud hashachar, until the sunrise. V'hu mevi'an liot notar, dechtiv betodah lo yaniach mimenu ad boker, v'kulam metodah ilamdeinu. There is a special Thanksgiving offering that persons give, so that we learn from that korban all the rest the same, that until the dawn. So if you tell me that the proper time is until the dawn, so why the sages said until chatzot? B'kriyat Shema u'be'achalat kodashim. Why you differentiate between reciting of Shema and eating a kodashim offering from the other korbanot? And the answer is kedei la'archik et ha'adam min avera. We want to have a distance, to put a boundary from a sin. So in that sense, you have certain things that we put a extra time. For example, lighting candles. If someone come and ask me when is the proper time, I always said try to do it much earlier than the calendar, right? So it's basically to try to put the boundaries of time so people not fall in a trap to violate Shabbat if it's lighting candles. The same thing here. When we want people to do the proper decorum of Shema, so we want to put the boundaries. והסרום באכילה קודם זמנם. We are the sages forbid them eating before the time, כדי שלא יבוא לאוכלן לאחר עמוד השחר ויתחייב כרת. In order for a person not to eat them after the dawn, and then the Torah said that soul shall be cut off, which is a very severe statement. וכן בקריאת שמע, the same apply to recitation of Shema, לזרז את האדם, in order to encourage the person to do it properly and earlier. שלא יאמר, that's exactly what the Gemarah said later. Rashi here paraphrased the Gemarah, and he said, יש לי עוד שהות, come on, I have enough time, ובתוך כך יעלה עמוד השחר, ועבר לו הזמן, and meanwhile, it's already the time of the dawn, and he passed the proper time. וכתר חלבים דקטני אחא, and what we said that they're bringing חלבים, the extra fat that we said here, לא אמרו חכמים עד חצות כלל, the sages did not say it until the midnight, ולא נקט לו אחא, אלא להודיע שכל דבר הנוהג בלילה כאשר כל לילה. They want to tell us that whatever is proper during the night can be whole night. והכנה מתנא בפרק שני במגילה, the same manner we learn in the second tractate of מגילה, כל הלילה כאשר לקצירת העומר לקטר חלבים ואיברים, that the entire night you can fulfill the mitzvah of the Omer, and also to bring the offering of limbs. So in conclusion, what we learned so far is the first Mishnah. The structure of the Mishnah, we study the Mishnah itself and the Rashi. We learned that there is a proper time to say Shema. The Torah tells us in the first paragraph of Shema, Beshoch Becha, when you lie down, and we want to know the exact timing. So we said in general we should recite Shema the first time when the first shift of the Kohanim, which is from the Tzet. Tzet is very important concept when you start seeing the star Tzet HaKochavim, which is the 3-star, that's the proper timing. Now the big question is how late you can say Shema. Rabbi Eliezer said right away the first third of the night when people prepare themselves for sleep. That's the meaning of the word Beshoch Becha. Sages said it's until Chatzot. Rabban Gamliel hold that can extend it as long as people are still sleeping, can be until the dawn, and it brings several proofs from the reality how they brought the offering and how late they can do the ritual of the offering.
You know, earlier in the shiur you talked about lechatchila and b'diavad. So in this case, since the sages said until chatzot, then is that lechatchila until chatzot and b'diavad until dawn?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, but now you're talking halacha lemaaseh. Now you're talking in a sense of the what is the proper time. So proper time, the Shulchan Aruch hold that the proper time is until Chatzot. But he said if there are some circumstances, you can do,
circumstances.
Yes. So the halacha follow Chachamim. Basically, if you want, you can see Shulchan Aruch. Orach Chaim Reish Lamed Hey 235. He said specifically that we follow Chachamim, we follow the sages, but again we follow also Rabban Gamliel that if it's b'diavad, you can go until the dawn.
So in this case, it's interesting that we learn that even though lechatchila, which is the preferred way to do it, is until chatzot, there is a more preferred way to do it, which is essentially right during the first watch or right at nightfall.
Yes, correct.
Okay, even though that doesn't, it's not lechatchila extends to midnight, it's still preferred to do it earlier.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Die.